We all receive exactly what we ask for. To understand this concept, we have to understand that our primary currency is our attention. Whatever we give our attention to, positive or negative, that is what we are asking for more of in our lives. Where our attention goes, our energy flows. Whatever we focus on multiplies, which is why it is said in scriptures to keep your thoughts continually fixed on all that is good and pure. Because if we want more of something, then we have to give our attention and intention to it. Otherwise, what is it going to grow off of? Think about the law of conservation of energy. It's not going to be born from nothing. We have to shift, look at it, at the very least acknowledge it. Remember that our intensity of our attention towards that thing is going to be mirrored in how much of that we receive back, right? So that's why if we have such hatred and animosity, negative feelings towards something, it is going to seem as though those things are then more prevalent in our lives, versus if we deliberately soak ourselves in the joy of the things that we're grateful for in our lives, we see so much more of that appear almost instantaneously. Life is perception. Reality is perception. Can't stress that enough. So, there is no such thing as healthy complaining. I'm sorry if that bursts any bubbles, but there's not. The more that we speak upon even past things that bother us in this tone of resentment and regret, the more that we bring those things into our lives, because it's clear that we haven't yet learned how to embrace the all. The more that we resist the things that are in our lives, the more that we're going to receive the things that we resist. Because we have an attachment to those things, even if we think that we're trying to condemn something. When we judge something, we spiritually attach and tie ourselves to those things. So therefore, what we condemn, we're actually asking for more of. When we judge and criticize somebody else, we will likely bring forth the exact situation that would trigger us to act in the exact way or think, behave in the same way that we are judging that person too. I have a very interesting story to share with you about this. In a previous video of mine, do you hear and see these two birds? This always happens whenever I'm about to share an interesting personal anecdote from my life. I receive such a reaction from the wildlife around me. So my story I was going to share is a continuation of the one that I shared in a previous video concerning a former boyfriend of mine who I very bizarrely ran into at a park in my hometown with his new girlfriend, who I know was recently divorced, and so there is a bit of a rebound situation there. And I was initially judging him for that. And a part of that judgment was, how could somebody get involved with someone who is recently divorced? Like, that's so... And again, I was being a bit critical, you know, because of the circumstances, and I was a bit shocked at all of it. Although I eventually came to a point where I very much clearly saw what was happening, and I could remove myself from making it into some kind of personal something. I was my exact thoughts were, wow, like, that's embarrassing. Like, doesn't one have enough self-value to not rebound with someone who is also recently divorced and going through that sort of tumultuous time? Why would anyone accept that? And of course I came to a point where I was like, you know what? If they're helping each other through their journeys and they're being a compassionate, source of guidance and support, then that's beautiful. That's what most relationships are. Not all relationships, pretty much every relationship, again, except for the one that we have with ourselves, is impermanent, is temporary, and is meant to just show us something, open things up within us. Fast forward to a couple weeks later from that event, I found myself not in that same situation, and I did not succumb to that exact circumstance. However, what happened was this. I found myself in a new friend group. We all got along with each other very well. Off the bat, seemed just fated at that point. And two of those people in that group was a couple. And the man of that couple, I could tell something was a little bit different about the relationship. I was like, they're not acting in a way that a normal couple might, and I know that they live together. And the man, yes, the man of this relationship proceeded to tell me that they're in an open relationship, which then at that point made sense. And he also began to express quite a bit of interest in me. And at that point, I did feel, although my initial instinct was, hell no, I'm not getting involved in this. This is far too much trouble than it would be worth, and I want a partner, not somebody who is already deeply devoted to somebody else. And he also then told me that they're actually married, mainly, I guess, for citizenship purposes, but they're also in a relationship, of course, so there's that. And so I found myself at a little bit of a crossroads, because I was like, well, on the one hand we have a great connection, but on the other hand, this is ridiculous. And it felt like a bit of a karmic experience, because they had recently, again, been judging my former boyfriend for getting involved with a recently married woman, and thinking, how could someone do that? And then I realized, actually, now I kind of get it. When you click with someone, you click with someone. And although I don't want to involve myself in this particular kind of chaos and complexity, I don't feel called to learn this lesson, because I feel like I already have, if that makes sense. I can kind of already see down that road where it would lead, and I've already been there in different ways. I've never been involved with a married person, please. However, I could hold compassion for that, because then I was in that space, and I was like, yeah, I totally get it. So all this to say, we get exactly what we ask for, whether or not we consciously know that we're asking for something. When we dole out any kind of attention on either spectrum, whether it's joy and gratitude and appreciation and love and acceptance, or if it's the opposite of that, resentment, judgment, criticism, those two polarities are equally intense. They're just two sides of the same coin. They are intense attention. And if we're not aware and intentional about what we give our attention to, then we are voting those things into our lives with equal intensity. So pay attention to what you pay attention to. It's very important. That is what creates your reality. I mean, that's why we attract like-minded people, people of similar backgrounds, where it's like, wow, it's crazy how we have so much in common. It's like this was fated to happen. Because we're mirrors. Helicopter overhead. Confirmation helicopter. Pay attention to what you pay attention to, and pay attention what meaning you give to everything. Because nothing has inherent meaning, does it? We dole out meanings, we dole out definitions and significance. Hi, crow. Hi, crow. There's a crow in front of me. He's pretty. Iridescent blue and black. So, with that, happy eclipse portal. Please do keep me posted on any sort of epiphanies you might have during this period. There will be epiphanies, loud and clear. Feathers will be ruffled, cries will be heard and answered. With that, I bid thee adieu, and I am pleased to be in your presence, even through a screen. So, take care, and I hope to see you soon.